Hey guys, today we're going to do the unboxing and overview of the HiBy RS6. So this is a DAP, otherwise called a digital audio player. This is high resolution music player here. Resolution is misspelled. The reason is because HiBy is a Chinese company and they've been in the music business for a while. I think their first successful product was the HiBy music player for the Android App Store. I guess a lot of people liked it, and then they expanded into DAPs, which are basically very high-end music players. So yes, this runs on Android basically, or a derived version of Android, their own operating system, HiBy OS, which is based on Android, which means it can do other stuff, but the main reason to get this device is to play music. And it has a very interesting architecture inside it for playing music, which I'll get to in a moment. But yeah, HiBy, I would say, fairly well-known Chinese company. They compete with FiO and Shanling, iBasso, other Chinese companies. They have some entry-level music players. This one is more on the higher end. The retail price for the RS6 is $1,400 US. I got this at a Black Friday discount, $1,200 but still fairly expensive, right? I mean, whenever you're paying over $1,000 for something like this, that's not even a phone, it's something that basically is just geared towards music, then it's quite expensive. It's basically high end, right? So in the mid-range and high-end DAP category, HiBy basically competes with, say, they compete with iBasso, I would say, the DX300 and the DX240, which came out recently, as well as some of the AK DAPs as well, like the SE100 and 180 that I have. All right, so yeah, let's just open it up. So this is the box for it. Pretty nice premium looking box actually. And then, whoops, oh, it opens up this way. And, ooh, okay, there we go. Here is the HiBy RS6. Pretty nice looking DAP actually. There you go. I think the logo is "Make Music More Musical." Does that even make sense? Make music more musical. Okay. And ooh, it comes with a nice case too. I'm not sure if this is real leather, but faux leather even. I mean, it's nice that they include a case with it. A lot of DAPs, even higher end ones, they don't always include a case, so it's nice to get one with it. And then you get a quick start guide here. So this is my first HiBy product. I haven't really experienced a previous HiBy product before. But yeah, get a quick start guide in Chinese, because it's a Chinese company, of course. Yeah, basically telling you the controls. Comes with a warranty card, scan the QR code, and guess, yeah, another quality thing. And this is a screen protector right here. I think you get another one actually on the player itself. So yeah, this is the, okay, then it does have English instructions a little bit later. That's good, okay. Alright, so that's the quick start guide. Alright, so this box, you get two cables. So you get USB-C to USB-A, that's pretty standard. But then you get a more interesting cable that I've never seen before. This is a HiBy branded digital coaxial to USB-C. And yeah, I've never seen this cable before. I wonder what you would use this for. Digital coaxial to USB-C. I'm not sure when you would ever use that. I'm sure there's some applications though. I guess this one has a line out, so maybe you can use that feature with this cable, and you can output to I don't know, some external devices, maybe an external amplifier or something like that, or a preamp. So yeah, I'm not sure. But I'm not going to use that. It's cool that they gave you this cable though, because this is a super rare cable. I don't really see very often alongside the standard USB-C cable. Okay, that's cool. And they also give you, of course, the very cool carrying case here, which I'm definitely going to put to use. Alright, and then the player itself, which, come on, I think looks very nice. Yeah, this is a very substantial feeling DAP. I mean, wow, it's quite heavy. So, yeah, definitely don't let the size fool you. The size is definitely the right size to grip in your hand, but it is definitely quite heavy in my hands. And yeah, it comes with a, is this a screen protector or something? Anyways, yeah, this is a very beautiful looking back actually. Look at that. Yeah, HiBy, high-res audio. You got the certifications from Japan, I guess. Of course, made in China. Plays DSDs. I guess. And this is a 5-inch display, I believe. So yeah, 5-inch touchscreen display. Let me actually run down the specs for you guys. So yeah, it runs on a very customized version of Android 9 called HiBy OS. So it's HiBy's own operating system. It's built on top of Android 9. Has a Snapdragon 660, which is a system on a chip that's used by a lot of Chinese DApps right now. It's pretty standard. 8-core Cryo 260 CPU architecture, okay, 2.2 gigahertz. That's basically the Snapdragon. And it has Bluetooth 5, aptX, LDAC, all that. Yeah, 5-inch display, 1920 by 1080, so full HD. 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, and of course accepts a micro SD card because it is a DAP, which means the main job of this player is to play music. Most people store their music externally, right, on a micro SD. This is nice. It weighs about 315 grams, so it is quite hefty. 4,500 milliamp hour battery. So it should last, I don't know, over 10 hours, I think. So what's really interesting about the HiBy RS6 is that it has its own architecture, an own in-house built architecture by HiBy called the Darwin architecture. Why is this special and important? Because most apps out on the market use Delta Sigma DACs. Delta Sigma DACs are basically, you can think of it as just, they're DACs that are very popular these days in most DAPs and USB-C dongles and everything. Think of all the AKMs, all the ESS, Sabre DACs. All these are Delta Sigma DACs. They're very low cost, so companies can easily put them into mobile phones, DAPs and stuff like that. So there's a good chance that your phone and DAP already have a Delta Sigma DAC in it. So that's basically the majority of DACs out there are Delta Sigma, and this is an R2R DAC, which is different than the Delta Sigma DAC. Just trying to find some differences between the two. R2R DACs excel in noise performance and linearity, which is also called timing and slam in the audio terminology world. Delta Sigma DACs excel at being inexpensive and generally acceptable. A large part of the sound of a finished DAC is the analog stage filtering following the actual DAC itself. So I guess that means Delta Sigma DACs often have very good specifications, right? You can look up all the specs of a ESS Sabre DAC or an AKM DAC or a Cirrus Logic DAC. You can see exactly the specifications, the dynamic range, the THD plus N, right? So yeah, you can find all those specs for that. But R2R is something actually entirely different. It's called resistor ladder technology. This one's developed all in-house by HiBy, and usually it's more expensive to implement this kind of architecture, I guess, and it's also the older technology. R2R DACs actually came out in the early 90s, I believe. Analog Devices made a few of these. So yeah, I guess it's interesting that this architecture is making a comeback now. So right now, only a very few high-end DAPs have an R2R architecture or DAC. So Kayin, another Chinese company, they have an R2R dongle DAP called the RU6. Then they also have a module for the N6 II called the R01. That's also an R2R DAC, I believe. And then you have Hi-Fi Man with the R2R 2000, and of course the top-end R2R DAC right now, the most expensive DAP on the market actually is the Luxury and Precision LP6 Pro, and that's like $3,500, $3,800, quite a bit more expensive than the HiBy RS6. Right now, I believe the HiBy RS6 is the most affordable R2R DAC on the market that you can get in. Maybe some of the older Kayens might be cheaper, actually, or Hi-Fi Mans. I think the Hi-Fi Man red one might be actually cheaper. But anyways, in terms of getting into like mainstream R2R DACs, I think HiBy's done a good job of introducing this. So yeah, the Darwin architecture is their in-house developed architecture. So it says the system includes resistor ladder linearity compensation, includes advanced functions, a linear FRR filter, nonlinear harmonics control, switchable oversampling and non-oversampling modes, DSD bypass, very, very flexible from what I've read. So one of the advantages of R2R, I guess, is it's super flexible and it's very customizable, and HiBy already allows you to customize a lot of settings to begin with your operating system. And the architecture provides up to 16x oversampling. Also, this can unfold 16x for MQAs as well. The amplification stage is also R2R based. And let's see. Yeah, NOS mode bypasses oversampling and anti-aliasing. And oversampling mode removes aliasing effects. DSD bypass. Audio crystal oscillators. Okay, yeah, so yeah. MQA 16x unfolding, I've already said that. Yeah, so I am very interested in this DAP, and that's why I picked it up, even though I already have a current DAP right now, which is the Astell Kern SE100. Around similar price. I think this one came out around $1,700. I got it for $1,000. The HiBy's $1,400. I got it for $1,200. So I would say these are, yeah, pretty similar in terms of price points. In terms of controls and everything, if you want to just compare, this uses a Delta Sigma DAC, which a lot of mobile phones and DAPs use. Like I said, this uses the top-end flagship ESS Sabre DAC, which is the ESS 9038 Pro. And yeah, the UI for Astell Kern is not quite as good as the one for HiBy's. The HiBy uses one based on Android, which is going to be faster. Also, it's more fully featured. Has add LDAC support, for example, which the SE100 doesn't have. But the SE80 and 180 and SE200 has support for LDAC. So newer ones have support, but this is their older model. Yeah, otherwise, I would say the size is pretty comparable, right? They're both pretty thick. As far as DAPs go, I mean, you're not really going to get many thin DAPs because you have to fit all this audio specific architecture inside of it. The weight, the HiBy's definitely weighs more. I mean, this is a very substantial DAP. Even though it's a similar size, the HiBy's definitely way more. Very similar controls. I mean, here on the side, you just have HiBy's on the, this one's on the right side, and the SE100's on the left side. You have the playback controls. So both of these, the top one is to go previous track, second one is to play and pause, and then the third one here is to go next track. The on button is on the right side for the HiBy's, right above the playback controls, whereas for the AK's, it's on the top. They both charge with USB-C, which should be obvious, right? That's what we expect for most of our mobile devices now. And yeah, the analog type of wheel right here, the click wheel, the Astell Kern has it on the side here, whereas the HiBy's have it on top. And I would say I like the clicky feeling of the Astell Kern. You can hear that click, right? You hear that beautiful click. Yeah, the HiBy's don't quite have that. It's a little bit more subdued for the HiBy's. Yeah, and generally the scroll wheel is a little bit smaller, I believe, on the HiBy's compared to the Astell Kern. So I like the wheel on the Astell Kern, the dial, if you want to call it that, on the Astell Kern is a bit more. It's more tactile. It's bigger. The HiBy's not so much. For looks and appearance, I think the HiBy's is really nice. It's champagne gold colored. But if you take it out of the case, basically this is a limited edition Gundam model, which I got from Japan. So the Astell Kerns look really nice, very beautiful DAP as well. So yeah, it's yellow color, but it's a limited edition, so it has the artwork for the Gundam anime series on the back. So this is a very nice looking DAP as well. I just don't like the fact that the edges are so sharp and it's so slippery. So that's why I pretty much have to use it with a case now. The HiBy's, yeah, I mean, it's got a pretty nice back as well, and it's got the champagne gold color, so pretty nice. They both have 5-inch displays. The processor-wise and operating system-wise, of course, HiBy's going to be faster. It is the newer DAP. I think this DAP came out originally in 2018, so we're talking about a 3-year difference here, since the RS6 was just released this year, a few months ago. So yeah, obviously the HiBy's are going to be faster processor, faster operating system. Yeah, and in terms of the I/O, the AK SE100, you have the typical 3.5 millimeter single-ended unbalanced, as well as the 2.5 millimeter balanced, which AK has supported for a very long time. Only recently, with their last generation that came out last year, they started supporting the 4.4 millimeter Pentacon connector. Whereas HiBy's is a little bit different. They don't support any 2.5 millimeter connector at all, only 4.4 millimeter balanced Pentacon, as well as your typical 3.5 millimeter in, right? You have to have that. So yeah, no 2.5 millimeter support for the HiBy's, and for the SE100s, since they're the previous generation, they don't support the 4.4 millimeter. But in addition, HiBys also have dedicated line outs as well for both balanced and unbalanced. So that's the extra two connections here. Is for balanced line out and then unbalanced line out, in addition to the regular ones for headphones. So if you're going to be using a line level connection, then they have the HiBy has dedicated ones for that. So that's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, I guess I'll have to do the comparison between these two and figure out, I guess, the sound differences between the two. I'm not sure if one's going to be necessarily better sound than the other. They're two completely different architectures. Like I said, this is a Delta Sigma architecture. The HiBys with their new Darwin architecture, which is an R2R architecture, should be pretty interesting to compare the two. In terms of the UI, I mean, let's boot it up. I'll show you guys exactly what I mean when I say the HiBys is definitely going to be a lot faster. So you can boot it up, and the HiBys, right, is going to go into HiBy OS, which is their Android skin, basically. Actually, I'm going to put into a, might as well put it in the case right now. Why not? Alright, put it in the case. Lovely looking case. It's RS on the back. Alright, so yeah, this is the different user interfaces for the HiBys and the AK SE100s. So yeah, this is HiBy OS. It is based on Android, like I said, it's the skin of Android, so you swipe down and yeah, it's basically just looks like an Android phone from here. You can even look at pictures, I guess. It's the album covers for now. Files. This one is home page, and yeah, Google Play. So you can download whatever streaming apps you want from Google Play, as well as any other app from the Google Play Store. So that's a cool thing about the HiBys. Since they're based on Android, you can use Google Play to download pretty much anything. If you listen to Tidal, if you listen to Spotify, you can just go in there and download it. Of course, you have their main music player, which is HiBy Music, and this is the one that you know, most people will be using to browse their music and stuff. So if I want to listen to, say, let's see, they can go to playlist right here, right, playlist, and this is, well, this is all in Chinese, I'm not sure what this is. HiBy Link controller, HiBy Link server. You can search, of course. So if I want to switch to a Jimi Hendrix, Hendrix. They should have some Hendrix tracks on here. Artist. Okay, here we go. Jimi Hendrix. And I go in there, and there's all my Jimi Hendrix songs. I don't have an album cover for this, do I? No album cover. Maybe I'll find a song with an album cover. So, yep, I do have, okay, I have some Beatles songs on here, right? So, yeah, I could play, say, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And then, yeah, here we go. This is the Sgt. Pepper's album cover, and this is the HiBy music player, right? So I can use controls, right? Stop it, start it, go to the next track, go to the previous track. Yeah, so that all works as you would expect. You can also use the on-screen controls, of course, and then you can, I guess this is shuffle all, no shuffle, list loop, okay, and go here, play cue, see my play cue from here, no lyrics, and then you can see more information about this. This is the FLAC, 16 bits, 2 channels, duration, sample rate, bit rate, you can see all that. Yeah, so it's fairly simple to use and a pretty modern looking music player, and yeah, it's very fast because it's based on Android 9, which I know is not the latest version of Android, but still, DAPs are usually quite behind. In terms of DAPs, this is actually fairly new, I guess. Only the file M11 Limited, I believe, runs on Android 10 right now. So yeah, pretty snappy and smooth. The Snapdragon 660 is in 4 gigs of RAM. I guess is good enough for doing DAP things, like looking through your music library and searching and stuff like that. So overall, yeah, this is a very snappy UI, and I can bring it up. You even have a clock here and calculator if you want. I mean, it's not strictly just a DAP, but yeah, this is, you can do other stuff with it too. And I'll show you all the interesting controls about this particular device, the RS6, because of the Darwin architecture, right? So it's got low pass anti-aliasing filter setting. Now it's got all these different presets. I'm not really sure what's the difference between all these. It would be easier to label them with what they're supposed to do. Otherwise, yeah, this is really, how am I supposed to know what they all do, right? It goes up to Darwin 10. DSD filter, I don't really listen to DSDs. Turn to non-oversampling mode, or yeah, turn on and off NOS. Maybe it makes a difference. I'll have to test it out. Atmosphere enhanced mode, which adds, I'm guessing, more imaging and soundstage. Harmonic controller, I'm not really totally sure what this does. Then you got customized presets, which are presets that's been loaded by other IAM manufacturers. They put their own presets here so that you can get what they wanted to hear with the HiBy RS6. So you got a few here already: soft ears, Dunu. I believe 64 Audio also added some of their IAMs in here too. I'm sure as time goes on, if the RS6 becomes really popular, more IAM makers will add it. But yeah, otherwise the UI is very, very snappy and responsive, and I really like it. I really like the HiBy music player. Pretty snappy, pretty responsive, easy to use. Now in comparison, the SE100, this is the AK interface, right? Astell Kern's interface. You can go do their settings, and as you can see, it's definitely slower, right? And they don't have as many features as the HiBy does. I mean, sure, you got some features here, but you don't have as much granular control as with the HiBys. Here, I think I can actually, yeah, I can also adjust the EQ, I believe, for these songs pretty easily. Let's see. Go in here, nope. So audio settings, yeah, okay. So here I can put gain, low, medium, or high. Plugins, I can download plugins for this. And then MSEB, here we go. Slide watch, range adjustment, tuning style. Okay, I can add my own tuning style, add tuning file. I can save my own custom tunings, and there's so much granular control you have now. Like overall temperature, warm or dark, cold or bright, bass extension, bass texture, note thickness, voice, female overtones, sibilance, impulse response, error. Like there's so much you can adjust here. So there's a lot of flexibility in the HiBys. DSD gain compensation, channel balance, max volume. So yeah, by the way, this is the little interface for when you adjust the volume, right? Now, you should never adjust it this high because this is like really, really loud when you're listening to headphones. But yeah, this is what it would look like. I think I usually would put it around 40. You don't want to damage your hearing too much. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, definitely the AK doesn't have such granular control, right? You can't do most of that on the AK, and that's just different philosophies. I find that for Chinese manufacturers, they prefer they can give you all the control and you can adjust it to what you like, whereas with AK, the South Korean company, they tuned it to basically what they think sounds best, and then you basically have to go with that, right? So it's what's called AK's house sound, which is generally a pretty warm sound in my experience. So that's AK's kind of tuning. They think that's the way that the music should sound through their device, and you pretty much have no choice but to listen to that. I mean, there's basic stuff like DAC filter, but I think that's about it. That's the most kind of customization you can do with the sound here, is that DAC filter, I guess. You can adjust the volume limit as well, or actually limit the volume, how much you can increase. And this is AK's interface too, for their volume. Yeah. Similar to the HiBys, right? Something like that. You have this. I usually keep it at 80. I think it goes up to 140 or something like that. Gets quite loud. But yeah, this is their interface, what it looks like. Right? You can click on this so you get to see lyrics, and then you can add it to a playlist here. You can favorite it, shuffle. Then you see the information about the song, right? Bitrate, file size, same stuff you can see in the HiBy music player. But I prefer HiBy's music player. I think it's a bit more modern. And yeah, just like with any DAP, you can go to the next song, you can play or pause using the controls up here. It's typical DAP stuff you can do with, any kind of media controls on different DAPs. You can do that with, and then your navigation. So yeah, overall, yeah, I prefer HiBy's music app to this. Here we go. Jump back to here, And yeah, I prefer, this is a lot more smoother and more modern looking compared to this here, where I can like, okay, let's go to, wait, I'm searching by title here, right? I have the same kind of filters here: folder, album, artist, genre, album artist, private cloud. Like I have, okay, let's say I want to go by artist, right? So yeah, artist, or yeah, I think I'll just, oh, this is actually another menu here. I can do equalizer right here. So yeah, there's so much customization you can do. And then the MSEB right here. So yeah, I can do it from here. But yeah, this is the artist screen, right? Click into it, and then you have all these songs. Pretty easy to use. If I go into the artist screen here, okay, I gotta scroll down. I have a lot of artists in this one. I think more artists on this SD card, but you know, it's, yeah, definitely the HiBy interface is easier to use. So yeah, say I want to, yeah, it's David Bowie, but yeah, say I want to play Hendrix, right? Like I said, Jimi Hendrix. Go to artist, and then you find him, and then this is all their songs. So here, how you would do that is you go search, again, slower here, Hendrix, definitely slower. You gotta wait, it'll come up, artist, and now you have his songs, right, all here as well. So definitely the interface here is slower than on the HiBys. I prefer the HiBys, yeah. And then the main interface looks like this compared to this. So yeah, I mean, AK's interface isn't too bad. It's definitely better than, say, like the ones on very basic, like the very basic DAPs, like the Def and Ray, or the Hi-Fi Man DAPs, or some of the Luxury Precision. Doesn't have good interface, but you know, AKs are better than that. But the HiBys, as well as the FiO, Shanling, iBase, so the Chinese DAPs usually got it covered just by making a skin based on Android, and then putting basically what's an Android app on top of it to play music. So that means it's fairly fast and easy to use and very responsive. Right, AK has their own custom one, not as responsive. So that's just it for the DAP interface itself. For the DAP interface, I prefer HiBys. For the actual sound, we'll have to see. I'll have to test it out to see which one's better. For the controls and stuff, yeah, I mean, I can adjust it like this. It works. I think Astell Kern probably, I just like the wheel and the Astell Kern, the rotary dial, a little bit better than the HiBys here, which are not as clicky and a little bit smaller. In terms of actually holding it, I have to have a case for the AKs because they're so sharp, they'll dig into your hands. The HiBys, easy to hold, but it's heavy, right? I like the AK's weight. The AK is definitely lighter. The HiBys are very, yeah, you definitely feel a little bit of heft here. So, yeah, in terms of the actual physical, you know, hardware controls and stuff like that, I think AK with a case I prefer. Without a case, HiBys. No, probably that's going to be my verdict there. If you have a AK SE100, then you got to use a case with it. Then it's actually pretty decent. HiBys, yeah, just pretty good. It's pretty good. But I like the dial on the AKs better. But yeah, the most important thing of a DAP is sound quality, of course, and I'll be testing that out. So I'll get my audiophile friend Eric. He's going to listen to both of these using my new IEMs, which are the Noble Cons, and he's going to listen to them on both of these, and he's going to give a verdict on which one sounds better to his ears, or maybe just a difference in sound signature. I'm not even expecting one to be a clear winner between these two, but maybe just get some insight on the different sound signatures between these two, because they're pretty different. They use totally different architectures. The AK SE100 with the ES-9038 Pro DAC, Delta Sigma DAC, right? And AK's house sound that's pre-tuned by them, and then HiBys with their very, very flexible operating system and tuning, and using their Darwin architecture, which is an R2R architecture. It'll be very interesting to see the differences between these two DAPs. Around the same price, but very, very different in terms of architecture and signature, I would say. So stay tuned, guys. I'm going to get him to do a little comparison. Funny thing is the HiBys are actually, they're almost way about the same, almost the same size too, and also similar price. But these two DAPs, they're very different in terms of architecture. So the AKs use a Delta Sigma DAC, which means these ones use the ES9038 Pro, the top end Saber DAC. The HiBys don't even use a Delta Sigma; they use an RTR DAP, which means it's a different design. They don't use any kind of AKM, no Saber, nothing. Like they use their own completely own architecture, which is supposed to be like more analog, like quote unquote analog. But yeah, that's why I was interested to try this one because it's so different than.
So analog, well, that means it's gonna sound really warm.
Well, we'll see. I'm not sure. But that's why I was really interested to try this one because the architecture is so different. Yeah, so this is their HiBy's own architecture. So
Right.
yeah, try this one. This one's still. Oh, actually, this one finished. I think. Scale. Okay. So since you already compared the Campfires to Nobles, we can just use the Nobles as a baseline reference. So you can use your Nobles with both of these. I think all the songs got on here. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Try it with the SE100 first. You said it might pair better with the SE100, so try it with the SE100 first. Okay. So far, what do you think?
So far, I think it's good.
Like, do you think it pairs pretty well with the AKs?
Actually, for the AKs, it seems like because right now the bass is a little bit light on the Nobles right now.
But you said they were there.
Yeah, on
better
my
than,
phone.
Better than the Campfires.
On my phone, yeah. But then the thing is, on my phone, that was like with the 3D audio on. With the 3D audio on, I noticed the bass is a lot stronger. So now that I turn it off and I was testing again, it does sound a little bit bass light.
Okay.
And then, so it could
that's probably why you said it, that everything was a little bit more mid-forward, right? Because I don't remember mentioning the Campfires. I don't think you said they were that mid-forward before. But it might have been the 3D audio. So do you remember the sound of the Nobles with the AKs?
The Nobles with the yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to do Nobles with these.
Sure. Is it on the track, the Jimmy one? The little one?
I think I put the Jimmy ones in there. Yeah, it goes to this one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jimmy. So it'll be under Jimi Hendrix? J?
Yep, so this one is running like a modified version of Android, so it's a lot faster than the AK. So you can just switch right here.
There's little windows. Sounds pretty interesting. It's pretty good. It's hard to say which is better though, honestly. Like this one and the AKs. It's really hard to say.
Different architecture, around the same price.
Like honestly, they don't sound that different. I would say the treble in here, like the drums, there's a little bit more kick in this one, and the bass might have a little bit more in this one as well. But then the mids, I think, are a little bit more on the AKs. The mids here sounds a little bit more raspy. It's still prominent, but it's a little bit more raspy. Whereas it sounds a little bit fuller on the AK, the mids. However, this one, like I said, treble and bass is a bit more kick in the treble than the drums. So yeah, it's hard to say, but honestly, like neither one of them are actually like kind of like way out of whack. Like it's kind of pretty neutral, both of these pretty much. So like pretty minor differences.
Yep. So for that one, the HiBys, it's a totally custom architecture for them. So they don't have like a specific Saber or AKM DAC. Another thing is you can really finely tune their settings. So this is the default settings, but you can adjust all sorts of them. I'm not talking about just EQ, but they have all sorts of. I think they have like an NOS setting, non-oversampling. They have a bunch of filters as well. I put it on the default. You can adjust that one a lot. I think they even make different profiles for different IMs. So, yeah.
And you said the successor for the UA2 is going to be using the AK DAC.
Yeah.
How much is that going to cost?
I don't know yet.
Okay, because it's not going to be on the same level as the UA2. It should be a little higher, right? Because it's using a better DAC.
I'm guessing it should be around double the price.
Yeah, because it's a better DAC.
I would expect it to be around double the price. Yeah, but it should be the same as the ES903 Pros. So yeah, not a big difference, right, between those two. Okay. However, the HiBy's UI is a lot better to use because it's a more modern UI. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, well, the UI for the AK wasn't that good. So.
Yeah, the AKs it's slow, right? It's hard to find stuff.
Yeah, just the UI design wasn't that good.
Yeah, but the HiBy's I prefer the UI a lot more. It's a lot faster and newer. Interesting. Okay. Would you say they were both a level above your phone? Would you say they're both a level above your phone?
Yeah, I'm trying to test it again one more time. Let's see. Because after I disabled the 3D audio from my phone, it's a lot closer now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I swear I remember this phone being so warm before, the bass being so strong, it was going everywhere. That's why I just checked the settings. Like, okay.
You want to try the HiBys one more time with the balanced and for me turning the non-oversampling on?
The what?
So there's a whole bunch of options here. One thing about this thing is they have like all these different settings. So you have low pass anti-aliasing filter, you have DSD filter, non-oversampling mode, atmosphere enhanced. I guess that's gonna add more sense to it. And then you got harmonic controller. So yeah, a bunch of other settings. I wonder if I put non-oversampling on if that makes any difference. Yeah, try again with, and then you might get a little bit more sound stage with your balance output. So.
Yeah, I think they sound better with the balance.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Because I think these higher end DAPs, the higher end you go, the more like they expect you to use balanced with it, basically. So like with the balanced flow, I think they add more. They add more power, more sound stage. So.
Yeah, it sounds pretty nice from the balance up. Yeah, pretty good.
Better than the SE100s.
SE100s?
Than the AKs.
The AKs?
Yeah. We're still about the same.
Different. They're just different. But this I like the sound. It's fun because like I think they added a bit more kick to the drums and a little touch more bass, just a touch, but tastefully done too. Like not overly blown. While the mids are still there, it's still very solid. I think this is a nice sound. Nice.
Let's put it this way: it doesn't sound any worse than the AKs.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because this one's actually a bit more fun sounding.
Yep. So, because if they're around the same quality sound, I might pick the HiBys just because the UI is so much better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if the sound quality is about the same, I'm going to pick the HiBys because the AK is just kind of a pain in the ass to use.
1 second here. The AKs, they can use this cable too, right? Because they have the balance out.
Oh yeah, the AKs are balanced out.
Give me the AK again and then try to bounce.
Okay. But you need a different. That one has a 2.5 millimeter, so we just get a different.
Well, it's just the plug you gotta change. You don't have to change the cable, right?
Nope, cable doesn't need to change.
Exactly. It's just the plug here.
Because these two are around the similar price, but I'm not going to keep both of them, so I need to decide which one to keep. If this one is maybe it's the same or even a little bit better, then yeah, like the UI alone makes this one better. So yeah, we get to use this one. This is the balance up for this one. Wait, I don't need to. That's actually natively 2.5. Yeah.
So was that for the AK?
Yeah, well, actually, people switch to this one more because it's more sturdy. So in the beginning, AK had that 2.5, but now less and less DAP makers use 2.5 now. Yeah, more and more of them switch to 4.4, which Sony actually started because it's a more reliable, durable connector.
Okay. Man, it's tough, man. They sound pretty different from each other. And
Okay.
It's more noticeable when we're using a balanced output.
Yep.
I like both. Both are good, but they're pretty different. The HiBys actually sound more clear, more soundstage, and more attack in the drums, which is the treble, and the bass is a little bit less bleedy.
Supposedly, with this type of DAC, the R2R DAC, which is a resistor ladder DAC, it's supposed to be more favorable towards vocals. So it brings the vocals out a little bit more, supposedly.
Depends. Actually, I find the AKs and vocals depends on what you're comparing it with, really. When they say that, right? But the AKs, the mids, are actually warmer. Quite a bit warmer, actually. And then also the bass seems a little bit more like it bleeds into everywhere. So then the whole sound actually sounds like just warmer in general.
Okay.
Yeah, for the AKs. Soundstage isn't as big as HiBys. So it's a different sound. It's like, do you want like a warmer mid and just a warmer sound in general because the bass actually kind of kind of envelops everything else a little bit too, or do you want like the HiBys where it's like a lot of kick in the drums and separation in the instruments and a little bit more soundstage?
Yep.
But the mids are a little bit less warm, but it's just as prominent too as what we get on the AKs. Yeah.
You say the HiBys are a bit more playful.
You know, now when I'm listening to both through the balanced, not necessarily. The HiBys is playful in terms of I love the kick in the drums. So when I'm listening to rock, I can hear like, you know, like Mitch Mitchell just anchoring.
So that means more treble extension.
Yeah, I think so. And that also gives you a better soundstage. So I kind of like the way like the bass, the drums, and the mids are anchoring each other, like on the HiBys. But then the soundstage is a little more squished into the warmer sound on the AKs. But then that warmer sound with the mids actually is kind of interesting too.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you hear the vocals and stuff now, it's like warmer, and then that bass also. So in a way, it's fun in its own way actually, because it's a warmer sound.
Yep.
In a fun way. So the other one is like fun in terms of you got the separation and you got extra kick in the treble with the drums, and then you can actually hear the bass guitar a little bit more whatever, because it's a little bit more shaped, the bass. Whereas the other one, so then you get this like dynamic clear sound, like for the HiBys. Whereas the AK is actually a little bit of that sound stage, but you get that fun kind of warm sound as well.
Yep, and that's because look, AK always has its own tuning, and I think they always tune it towards a bit more warmth. Okay. They've historically used AKM DACs, and I think even with the ESS DACs, they've tuned it so that it sounds more like an AKM DAC, which is like a bit more warmer. Okay. So I think that makes sense. That's tough.
It's tough, man. They actually both sound fun and different in their own way.
That's tough. I don't know.
I would say they're both on the same level in terms of sound quality, but the sound signatures are actually really different.
Yeah. Okay, so sound quality similar, sound signature different. Yeah. If I were to keep one, probably I'll lean towards the HiBys just because of the UI and the features are more. I mean, EAKs are very limited in terms of features. The HiBys it's a full on like, you can install Android stuff on it. So you can install more stuff on it. It's got way more customization. AK doesn't really let you tune stuff. Like they want you to listen to the music the way they tune it. Whereas HiBys is like go do whatever you want, make it sound like whatever you prefer. And that's generally how Chinese DAPs do it. I think Chinese DAPs like iBasso, FiO, Shanling, and HiBy, they let you tune it to whatever you want. They don't try to force a specific signature onto you like AK does.
Yeah. But then honestly, man, like you gotta think long and hard though, because the AKs actually sound pretty solid too. Yeah. Because the AKs is this nice, tasteful, warm sound too.
And that's also why Chinese IEMs usually give you that tuning too. It's always with Chinese stuff, they will let you tune it the way that you want. So they give you a little bit more flexibility. At the same time, yeah, I don't like to always play around too much with the tunings. So I also like AKs, like just give me the default tuning is good too. So they both got the pros and cons. And obviously the HiBy is a lot faster to use. So like, the UI is a lot faster, easier to use.
There's a chance that your campfires would actually sound better on the HiBys. Yeah. Because the campfires are super warm and everything. Yep. Because
I did the campfires with the AKs, so I noticed it was super relaxed, super laid back, and that's probably because it's warm already. So
because the HiBys have more attacking the drums and everything, and then the mids are a little bit less warm by nature already compared to the AKs, and then the mids are so warm in the campfires already, so it's probably a better match with the whatever. But then honestly, you should be focusing on your top tier headphone, which is the Nobles instead. That should be the priority.
So in terms of Noble versus the campfire, that's a clear win for Noble, you think?
I think so. The campfire is interesting because they elevate the mids so damn much. So of course you're gonna hear a lot of details in mids because it's so forward, right? But the problem is like the balances, like the other sound spectrums are that the treble isn't quite as whatever. The bass isn't quite as whatever compared to the mids. So it's very mid-centric and warm, and then also not much soundstage. However, that mid is fun. That mid's fun. Yep. Yeah, it's nice and warm.
So it's a different signature. Nobles are more a little bit more reference. Yeah. Tough.
It's tough, man.
To think about it.
Yeah, you gotta think about it.
Because all these are very expensive. So like there's no bad choice here. So it's I gotta think about. It's more of I think generally the idea is like once you go past $1,000, you're not gonna get like a huge jump in sound quality or anything. It's more like which signature do you prefer at this point. Right.
Now I'm curious to actually tune my FLC8s to make the mix a bit more prominent to try to match that up with the Nobles and then see how that compares. But then the problem is if I do that, then the treble and then also the bass might be like not strong enough. And if I kick all that stuff up, then I don't know if that's a good thing too. So I'm going to see. I'm not even sure if I can actually tune the treble actually. I'm going to have to see.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, because I know for like my FOC8S, I can tune the mids, I can tune the mid bass and the sub bass. I'm not sure with the trebles. If I can tune the treble too, that might be interesting.
Yeah, it's I mean, if you pair it with a Chinese DAP, like the HiBys or whatever, you can get pretty much any sound you want because there's so much configuration you can do.
Yeah.
So you can tune it to whatever sound you want eventually, so either hardware or software wise. So yeah. Yeah. That's the thing with these DAPs, it's like there's a lot to play around with. I think for the AKs are good for people who just like I don't want to touch anything, play around, I just want like good default sound. And there you go.
Yep, I know.
Alright, cool. Harder choice here. They're both different sound signatures. I think the AKs are very warm, but well, slightly warm. I wouldn't say they're very warm. They're slightly warm, but still detailed. The HiBys, I think, are maybe even the better pair because they just sound very playful, dynamic. Soundstage is maybe a bit wider, and also I think they like to use for the R2R type DACs. They have to use the term musical or analog, but I don't know whatever that's supposed to mean. However, I do think that these are overall a little bit more enjoyable to use compared to the AKs. I mean, not to say that the AK SE100s aren't a good DAP. Obviously, they are, and I think they may even have a little bit more detail. However, I think when it comes to actually enjoying the music, yeah, maybe the HiBy RS6 might be a little bit more, at least using the Noble cons. I think that, yeah, maybe this is a bit more enjoyable. And I do have to say that the cons are not as sensitive as the campfires. So with my Solaris X, I have to basically turn down the volume on both of these because the campfire audio is always very, very sensitive. But when it comes to the Noble audios, I think I had to turn this volume around 50 to actually, be able to hear a little bit more because these are not as sensitive as the campfires. The campfires you got to turn down to 40 or below. So, yeah, I think that's overall the impressions. The Noble Audio Cons, very, very nice pair of IEMs, very impressive. Not sure if they're worth the price. I mean, I did get them at a discount. Even then, I think it's still a bit overpriced, but they are definitely the best pair of IEMs I have ever heard. And same with my friend. He also agrees. And as for these two DAPs, different sound signatures, both around the same prices, so I'm not really sure which one's like the best. I think there's just different sound signatures. Like I said, AKs, very like a little bit warm, also detailed. So it's overall an enjoyable sound as well. I think if you use this with a more neutral pair of REMs, it would be better. For the HiBy RS6, like technicality wise, it doesn't really compete with the AKs. However, I really do think this is an enjoyable pair of DAPs. As they say, it's musical sounding, right? Whatever that means, it's more enjoyable to listen to. I think a little bit more enjoyable compared to the AKs. Maybe a little bit more dynamics, perhaps. The sound stage is slightly wider as well. So yeah, they're both good DAPs, both in different ways. So yeah, I can't honestly choose which one overall better. But if I were to say what's a tiebreaker, I would say the HiBy's interface is a lot better than the AKs. So I do like that snappier interface. So that's it, guys. That's my impressions of these really expensive IEMs with, yeah, these two DAPs. And also compared to the Campfire Solaris X that I have as well. So let me know if you guys have any questions or comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Today we'll be doing another audio comparison. I actually like doing these kind of videos. And it's going to be another topic which audiophiles love to debate about online. And I think audiophiles are the type of people that really care about the stuff that makes maybe like minute differences. Like a few percentage of a difference really matters to audiophiles. So there ends up being a lot of debate online about things. So yeah, today we're going to look at two different DAPs here. So DAP stands for Digital Audio Player. I have two of them, very expensive players actually. So this one is the Astell Kern SE100. This originally came out in 2018. Retailed originally for $1,700. I got this for $1,000 though. And this has a very good DAC inside of it still to this day. This is an ESS Sabre 9038 Pro inside of it. Still a pretty good DAC, desktop class. And then this one is the HiBy RS6. retails for $1,400. And this uses its own custom R2R DAC, which stands for resistor ladder DAC, and it has a custom architecture. They call it Darwin architecture. So why is this important? So today we're going to compare two different DACs against each other. DAC stands for digital to analog converter, and yes, audiophiles do care about this as well. I mean, I compare like headphone amps, I compare headphones, I compare vinyl versus CD. So audiophiles love to compare different technologies against each other all the time, since they care about the small differences or big differences to them. Yeah, they like to just compare and debate online about these things. So today we're going to look at two different DACs. Yeah, we're going to look at the ESS 9038 Pro versus the custom R2R DAC, Darwin DAC inside of the HiBy RS6. Okay, so it's kind of hard to explain exactly the differences. I mean, you guys can also look online, but yeah, basically, the majority of DACs out there, like consumer DACs that you're going to find, are going to be of the Delta Sigma type design. So Delta Sigma DAC manufacturers are like ESS Technology, Wolfson, Cirrus Logic, or Astell Kern. So you probably, if you have used like a desktop amp or a mobile phone or like a mobile audio player like a DAP, or even a USB-C dongle, you know, that converts audio. So any of those, I bet chances are they have a Delta Sigma DAC inside of it, because that's the vast majority of consumer DACs out there. So yeah, chances are you're going to have a DAC made by either ESS or Astell Kern AKM or Cirrus Logic CS or Wolfson WM. So yeah, chances are you have a DAC by one of those companies, which are all Delta Sigma DACs. R2R DACs are definitely in the minority. They stand for resistor ladder DAC. So it's hard for me to explain to you guys exactly what the differences are between the R2R versus Delta Sigma DAC, but I will paraphrase a part of a paragraph I found online here, and I think they make a pretty good analogy in my opinion. So it says, an R2R DAC design, which the HiBy uses, with special emphasis on non-oversampling, sounds completely different to the same DAC, but with digital filtering or noise shaping Delta Sigma. So a DSP type of digital circuit. In the right design, a great R2R DAC in non-oversampling mode presents music in a way that's more deeper, more organic, and natural way than any Delta Sigma type of DAC. The analogy is akin to comparison of pictures taken with a camera equipped with a proper optical lens and with a camera taken with a digital zoom and a lot of DSP post-processing done by the software and hardware of a camera. So basically they're saying an R2R DAC, which if it's implemented in the right way, is kind of like having the optical zoom of a camera versus Delta Sigma DAC, which is akin to having a digital zoom of a camera, which is basically saying that an R2R DAC, if it's implemented in the right way, is going to look more natural and organic, whereas Delta Sigma DAC, basically there's a lot of post-processing done to try to clear up the artifacts. So yeah, basically pictures taken with optical zoom have sense of depth, are more natural, and their textures are more smoother and transients. There's no post-processing. All the original data is presented, more or less is captured. And then pictures taken with digital zoom are flatter, textures are more synthetic, edgier, and transients. Post-processing was applied to interpolate the missing data. All results heavily depend on the post-processing algorithm chosen. So basically that's the analogy that they use here, that properly implemented R2R DACs are going to be more like akin to an optical lens of a camera. It's very, very natural and organic if presented in the right way, and in non-oversampling mode, which basically I do have in this DAP. Yeah, so basically they're saying that Delta Sigma chips, they look better, they measure better on paper, but you always got to take that with a grain of salt, because that's under ideal circumstances. It's not always like in practice that you'll actually get those kind of measurements. You know, when you look at the spec sheet of one of these DACs, they always, you know, tell you the total harmonic distortion, the signal to noise ratio, dynamic range, stuff like that. But always take those with a grain of salt, because in practice that may not be attainable. So yeah, because depending on your actual, you know, implementation and design and listening environment. So anyways, we're going to actually take a look at these two, just going through a sound test, just like with my other comparison videos when I compare like headphone amps or vinyl versus CD or different headphones. We'll also be comparing these two DACs against each other, and I can actually use both the balanced and the unbalanced, because both of these DAPs have unbalanced outputs as well. Both of these DAPs have balanced outputs as well as unbalanced, so we can actually compare those two as well. So yeah, we'll be looking at sound tests for both of these, both balanced and unbalanced, and obviously you guys can hear the differences between the DACs, if there is any. So actually I'm not even expecting to you know, to hear a big difference, because this is something that maybe people with really sensitive ears might be able to hear. But I'm expecting these two to actually sound very similar, but maybe you guys can hear something different. But anyways, let's go ahead with a sound test and see if there is a difference, or if you guys can notice a difference or not between these two.